Are you a CEO, senior executive, or executive leader that's struggling with working around the clock, leaving little time for you, your health, your family, or those you care about most? How about challenges with hiring and retaining top talent? Or what about ownership and reaching your business goals? Big gaps in communication resulting in micromanaging, missed deadlines, and missed opportunities. And finally, the business results are stagnant or limited. You're not alone. Stay tuned for the next 10 minutes, and I'm going to teach you my 5-step system so that you can create a team of engaged employees, increase productivity, and drive profits, all while taking care of your health and well-being. Hi, I'm Michelle Cox, Executive Life and Leadership Coach. I've dedicated the last 20 years of my career supporting high-performing individuals and teams in leveling up the leadership of themselves and their teams to lead with more impact, increase engagement and productivity to surpass their KPIs. What I've discovered from working with hundreds of leaders is that there are 5 key pillars that you need to focus on to create a successful organization. The first area is becoming the leader of your life. How often have you not done things at the expense of those around you? Stayed up late, skipped lunch, canceled plans with loved ones, all because you're burning the midnight oil trying to get a project done, only to leave you more stressed and burnt out. You're not alone. 43% of executives say that they are stressed and burnt out. The bottom line is this: if you're operating in survival or stress mode, if you're not sleeping or eating well, and you're trying to give from an empty cup, and there's nothing left to give, and that's a recipe for disaster. And this is why this is the first area I address in the Performance Accelerator. We need to make you become the leader of your life, and it's about stepping up and stepping into wholeness. Take my client Casey, for example. He came to me overweight, not sleeping, drinking too much, eating poorly. Sound familiar? Working with me, he created a plan. He limited his drinking, he changed his diet, lost 25 pounds, and moved from surviving to thriving. He was in the best shape of his life and felt like he was in his 20s again, not only personally, but professionally. His sales results went through the roof. That leads us to the next pillar: becoming the leader of yourself at work. Your team is a reflection of you. When is the last time you received feedback, the real feedback, on how you're supporting and leading your team from the people that you're actually leading? Do you know your blind spots, your weaknesses that are impacting your team's ability to perform at their highest and best? Or how about how to leverage what people consider your superpowers? The majority of leaders don't know this. In fact, according to Forbes, business executives' 3rd greatest challenge is leadership. And this is why we must create self-awareness. You have to do this as a leader. We create self-awareness to identify your strengths, your opportunities, who you are at the core as leader, and what expectations you have of yourself and your team. Just like my client Larry, he was berating his team on calls, was short with his peers, and he had team members complaining to HR and the CEO about his behavior. He had no awareness of what he was doing or how it was making people feel. After completing a 360 with a variety of people, he was embarrassed, and all he wanted to do was change. But until he truly understood the impact he was having, he couldn't understand it. And that transformed his ability to lead. And the same is true for you. Which leads us to the next area: leader in your relationships. How many times have you not spoken up when you should have? Allowed an employee to become a cancer on your team? Not known who your employees are and what drives them? Being in a healthy relationship with your boss, your employees, your team, even your clients is the cornerstone of building a healthy culture. When you're in relationship with those around you, you build trust. And with that trust, employees will not only share openly with you, they'll want you to win. But in today's workplace, almost 1 in 3 employees don't trust their employers. That's pretty alarming, isn't it? Yet we know employees who feel their voices heard are 5 times more likely to feel empowered to perform their best at work. Which means you must learn how to ensure your employees are seen, heard, acknowledged. And when you win, the organization wins. Take my client Eric, for example. He didn't know his team at all, what their pain points were, what made them thrive, what got them excited. He didn't acknowledge that, which meant he was doing all the work. They did what they needed to get by, and that was that. After working with me, he started creating authentic relationships with them, found out what got them excited, started one-on-ones, team meetings, and guess what? They started to take on projects outside of their scope, all because he started creating relationships with them. He viewed them personally and professionally. He looked at them as a whole human being. And when you do that, it's life-changing for the organization. That brings us to the next pillar, leader in your organization. Being a leader in your organization starts with you having a clear vision on where you're going. What are the results, the entire business that you're after? What's the plan to get there? Who to leverage, and so on. When you start with some altitude and with the entire team in mind, you have the opportunity to leverage everyone within your team to achieve those results. In fact, highly engaged teams show 21% greater profitability. And this is why we're going to create the plan on where your team is going, what the end objective is that you're truly looking to accomplish, what actions they can take to get there, and who they can leverage along the way. Just like my client Jeff, he came to me and he was doing everything within his organization. Sales and marketing, operations, human resources, finances. Working with me, he created the actual vision, the big vision. And when he started sharing that vision with his entire organization, they wanted in, they wanted to be part of it. And when you do that, it's a game changer for your entire team and organization. And finally, that brings us to being a leader with your employees. Employees don't just come to you with all the bells and whistles they need to be successful in your organization. Sure, you hired them for a reason, but that needs to be nurtured. But this is a problem in a lot of organizations. They hire people but don't bother to nurture them. And this low employee engagement is a very costly problem. It costs you $4,000 on average to hire new talent and an additional $1,000 to onboard them. That means every time you lose an employee, it's $5,000. Not to mention training, hiring, losing that talent to competition, and that doesn't include their intellectual knowledge that they have, which in turn costs you 50 to 100% of that employee's salary. The bottom line is this: employees must continue developing for them to be engaged in your organization. This is what we teach you in the Performance Accelerator, how to continuously develop your employees, which in turn keeps them engaged in your organization. The more you invest in your employees, the more they invest in you. Take my client Alex, for example. Alex, a senior leader in an organization, took over a team and they had the highest attrition. Working with me, he started creating coaching, developing, trainings, and guess what? Attrition dropped. Employees were engaged and wanting to learn and share information. If you're ready to transform the leadership in your organization, create a culture of open and transparent communication, maximize productivity and employee engagement, and surpass your KPIs, then click the link below to book a call with me, and we'll chat about how the Performance Accelerator can level up your organization. I look forward to speaking with you.